Hello. I'm presenting some contrarian suppositions here with regard to gravitation. What if the curvature of space happens at the most nanoscale level, and that this curvature of space is actually an oscillating curvature of space? In fact, I am suggesting that the photon is defined by an oscillating curvature of space. So, in essence, I'm saying that the fourth dimension happens only by the flow of the action of photons, and that photonic activity, which we know is responsible for the electrostatic forces, we know that the photon, the virtual photon, is the basis for electrostatic action. It's the boson in electrostatic action. Regardless, this would also give us a wonderful excuse to explain quantum mechanics, in that when we look at things that are very small, we see that these things are blurry. We look at atoms and things are blurry. Well, perhaps they are blurry because space itself is oscillating within the confines of the photon. Well, what has this got to do with gravitation? Here, I'm suggesting a very mechanical aspect of things. And the mechanical aspect being the photon vibration encapsulating this bending of space in a vibrating manner. Well, we also have the problem of polarization. The simplest way that this space can vibrate is where it has an axis, such as a torus. A torus has an axis, and perhaps this is a kind of folding torus that you can call the spindle torus. This spindle torus has an axis, and so for the most part in the world, photons and light travel without any kind of with regard or interfering with any other photons. Of course, we know of the photoelectric effect, which happens interaction with atoms and molecules. What if there were cases when the electrostatic forces are communicating with each other through the bosons of these virtual photons, and in very, very, very few cases there are photons that are diametrically opposed to each other. In other words, they are perfectly aligned in anti-sense. I'm not saying there's a anti-photon, but I'm saying that it's spatially, perhaps one photon being perfectly negatively aligned with another can cause a photon annihilation. Then we would have, like a bubble popping, a perfectly flat, non-vibrating area of space, which would act like a miniature vacuum in terms of energy and entropy. So this static area of space can serve, it's like a reverse entropy. Everything else around is vibrating, and so it acts as a suction of sorts. This is what I'm proposing happens in the case of gravitation. There's a communication between electrons in atoms all the time. And occasionally, once every 10 to the whatever times, when photons interact, encounter each other, and in fact, there's this cancellation of the photon. And this is what I believe can be representative of the boson for gravitation. Now, don't take these ideas to your local physics professor, because these are my own ideas. Everyone accepts all of the suppositions of astrophysics and the theories of astrophysics, and everyone totally accepts general relativity. But I am just stating that this is what I believe could be an alternative perspective on the nature of gravitation.